But we start today, hopefully with this in action, with, I think, the most important question we can possibly ask. A question that if we embrace it, and if we fully understand it, I think can transform our careers, our companies, even our communities forever. That question is, what's the best Disney film of all time? Stay with me, it's gonna get weirder before it gets better, okay? I actually want you to think about this. What's the best Disney film of all time? Can you picture your answers for me? Can we shout it out together on the count of 3? Can we do that? So the best Disney film of all time is 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for the participation. Unfortunately, you're all wrong. There is one correct and objective right answer to that question, and it's a Goofy movie. Oh my God, I found my people. They're all right here, and there's no one else out there. If you know, you know. It's because of Powerline, the pop star in the film, legit good music, still waiting on the album. Now, of course, this is a ridiculous question to be asking. What's the best Disney film of all time? Because there is no objective way to answer it. But we spend so much time in our work trying to be the objective best, the logical pick. We're the number one, so of course you go with us. But that's not how people make choices. We are not rational creatures. We are subjective first when we make our choices, then we rationalize what we did later. Something very interesting and I think revealing happened when I asked you this question. You didn't answer it. I asked you, what's the best Disney film of all time? But did you say that? And the answer, no. How did you interpret it? What's my favorite? That's how you answered it. This is my favorite. And that is great news for us. Because we're competing not just with people in our industry for our audience's attention, but with anybody making content today. I'm a podcast guy. Studies show the majority of weekly listeners, they only listen to 5 or fewer episodes a week. I'm up against comedians and actors and politicians and authors and the biggest names in my space. But for any of us to compete with the biggest and the best, you don't need to be the biggest and the best. You need to be their favorite. There is nothing objective about that. That means be their personal preferred pick for a specific purpose. Think about the favorite things that you talk about in your life. Your favorite sports, your favorite food, your favorite city or animal. These are like parts of our identity, really. So when I say that's my favorite city or that's my favorite podcast, I'm really saying more about myself than those things. And there's nothing objective or academically the best about these things. My favorite shirt is not objectively the best made shirt that either exists or even that I own, but it feels irreplaceable to me. Imagine if we felt that way to our audiences. Irreplaceable. My favorite sports team, the New York Knicks. If you know anything about sports, you know for decades of my life, they've been among the objective worst picks. Terrible organization, not winning anything, dumb decisions, objectively among the worst. But they were my pick. Does that sound like rational thinking to you? No, but it does sound like human thinking. And guess what your audience is full of? When your audience makes choices, they play favorites. The real question we need to ask, are you one of them? Don't be the best. Be their favorite. Now, most of the content we create actively undermines this objective. Our shared enemy today is creating commodity content. I can get it anywhere, and I guess you're anywhere. Maybe you've heard the phrase, the content hamster wheel. Maybe your left eye just started to twitch. I want to get off that thing. But when we're on it, creating all this commodity content, nothing we do is all that high impact. Not enough of our work works, so we create more, faster, faster, faster. And then one clever little hamster one day has an idea. They think to themselves, oh, I have a podcast. I make some videos. I can go to Fiverr and hire a writer to turn that into a blog post. And all the hamsters catch up. And now you have services saying, we can take that same podcast and give you 20 pieces of content. There are services offering unlimited repurposing power, not unlimited communication power, just unlimited stuff. But what if we could get off that hamster wheel? What if more of our work worked? What if we could stop competing on volume and start competing on impact? Well, the impact of our work is directly proportional to 2 things, its value and its originality. And you can actually plot how you're doing on a visual tool called the Idea Impact Matrix. I built this with my co-founder, Melanie Diesel. Together earlier this year, we started the Creator Kitchen. It's a mastermind to help us create higher impact content because we want more of our work to work as content marketers today. The least valuable content is merely informational. The most valuable is insightful. Informational content is like, what is AI? Insightful, why does AI matter to small business B2B companies today? Informational, the backstory of Anthony Bourdain. Insightful, what made Bourdain a world-class storyteller? Informational, the 6 fastest growing brands today, why are they growing so quickly? Informational content is kind of like handing someone a map. Here, you have it now. That's this part of the world. And then we get a little bit more powerful in our communication. We say it's not informational, it's instructional. It's a red line to an X. But the problem is now you've created a direction follower. And if that person in your audience takes your instructions and a tree falls across their path, and it will, all of a sudden they don't know what to do because you've created a direction follower with your instructions. But if you give them an insight, that's like handing them a compass. They understand how to navigate. You've made a navigator out of them, and that is far more valuable. I think of it this way. Informational content updates people, but insightful content empowers them. That's the business we're all in as content marketers and creators today. To increase the value of your content, make it more insightful. Additionally, we can plot our originality on the other spectrum. From a scale of general to personal, could anybody in your space have created that, or could it have only come from you or your team's perspective? So general content sounds like 6 steps to make a better podcast today. Something more personal is I want to dissect the 5 podcasts that most inspire me, arriving at my prescription for the steps to make a better show yourself. General, 6 quotes from Anthony Bourdain about storytelling. Personal. The other day, I just remembered this. Came up on the anniversary, Bourdain Day. I lost a loved one, trying to escape that feeling into something that made me feel something else. I turned to his show and I binged it. And as a storyteller myself, I couldn't help but recognize all the things he was doing proactively and consciously as a storyteller to me. It didn't happen by chance. And here's the proof. Here are 6 quotes from Anthony Bourdain about how to tell great stories. It's the same underlying content. I didn't have to win new budget, but it's more powerful because it's more personal. And if you're vulnerable, fantastic, but you don't have to be. It's from your life, from your perspective, that you find the most meaningful insights of all. I think of it like this. AI is trained on internet content, but you are trained on the content of your life, and no one else has access to that. What an unfair advantage. But are you using it? Now, oftentimes we're not. We're creating things that are unoriginal, low value. We're trapped in the commodity cage, and it's there that you find us on our little hamster wheels, and we're going to repurpose that content so hard. And worse, we're packed in there with like 8,000 other little hamsters on their wheels. And we're like, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to repurpose to 20, unlimited. I'm going to rank first on search. I'm going to go viral. Sir, you're on a hamster wheel. You're going to go nowhere. And then, instead of recognize we have some problems here, we try to succeed in the place causing those problems. So what do? We try to get smart. We're like, all right, I'm going to be better than them. I'm going to tweet. Yes, I said tweet. At the right time, the best time. I found a report that said it's 3 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to tweet at 3 p.m. Except now that that data is available, guess what happens? That is no longer the best time to tweet because all the hamsters catch up on their wheels. But I don't have time to continue to optimize my success there because I have to care about every other social network under the sun, like Facebook. But then Facebook rebrands as Meta. What's Meta? Meta contains a whole bunch of apps, including Instagram. Remember when Snapchat started challenging Instagram, so we were doing the same thing on Snapchat and Instagram? Well, that's really TikTok. TikTok is basically that new idea of like, same thing here, same thing here, same thing everywhere. Is it good? I don't know. I also have a podcast. The podcast can't just be audio, though. The podcast also has to be video. So now we have a YouTube channel where we're putting all the podcasts, and now we're doing bespoke video, too, and we're sending all of it through email. Our email list is the most offensive thing we could possibly own. It's great. But why are there email marketers saying email is dead? That makes no sense to me. But I don't have time to keep up with their words because there's all these new trends. What is product-led growth, experience-led growth, event-led growth? Is that a thing? I don't know. We're at an event right now. And then there's big data. Is that a trend? That was a trend. I think it's back as a trend. And then there's voice marketing. No more logos. It's all about Amazon Alexa. And oh my God, Twitter is now X. Elon's doing a bunch of crazy crap. What do? I guess we jump on Threads. But Threads is like this new thing. I don't really have a strategy. Speaking of strategy, we have no plan for LinkedIn. Let's be on LinkedIn. And now there's Web3 and NFTs and AI and ChatGPT and OMG Alexa, please punch me in the face. I'm sick of it. I'm done. Am I the only one who feels this way? I don't want to exist in this cage. I want to escape it entirely. Don't you? Well, when that's how we feel, we can take hope. Because opposite the commodity cage is a place where our work works. It's more insightful. It's more impersonal. It's higher value. It's more original. And I call that place the field of favorites. It's amazing. It's so relaxing. You can drink some water. You can stretch your legs, because there's not 8,000 other people there. There's like 6 other people. There's sunshine, butterflies, rainbows. A unicorn trots by, and it's carrying a wagon full of refreshments served in golden cups. Is this content heaven? No. This is just what the job was supposed to be all along. And the best part when you're running free in the field of favorites is what happens when your audience finds your work when you create from that place instead. They wander in off the internet. They look all haggard and disheveled. It was terrible. I was out on the internet, and there were all these marketers giving me advice, and it was all the same. And then they started getting aggressive with the advice. Steal my playbook. 99% of people do this wrong. Here's a thread teaching you my secrets. And then there were these podcasters making videos from their podcasts, and they had like gorgeous animated captions on the video, but the content itself said nothing at all. It was terrible. This is so beautiful. It's sunny. It's so warm. Is that a unicorn? Thank you. Thank you for creating what you create. Imagine if that was how people felt about your work, but with less unicorn. All right, fine, with more unicorn, okay? With more unicorn. When you're trapped in the commodity cage, you're forced to compete on volume. But when you're running free in the field of favorites, you get to compete on impact. It's not the volume, it's the power of your content that gets you the results. So how do we do that? How do we get off the hamster wheel, escape the cage, and create things that are higher impact? I think it's really simple. I don't think we need more budget. I don't think we need to overhaul our strategy or change what we're trying to teach the world. I think we need to tell small stories with big meaning. Pulled from your life. You're surrounded by things all the time. Think about it another way. AI and people both rely on LLMs as their foundation. AI has large language models, but people have little life moments. I know, I'm proud of me too. Isn't that a good, that's a good one, right? I know it when I see it. Are you pulling from your own LLM to stand out and to resonate deeper? Tell small stories with big meaning. Let me show you how this works. Let me show you the story of Michelle Warner and our need for leads. See, it only worked if you added the S to the first word. I try to make it look like I know what I'm doing up here, but it's hard. That's what I'm saying. It's hard. And our need for leads. Michelle is an entrepreneur who helps other entrepreneurs build sturdier businesses by focusing more on relationships in your marketing, not endless traffic. And when Michelle started her business, she was indeed creating commodity content. I found this old article, How to Be Intentional with Your Business Connections. Here's the opening line. I talk a lot about intentionally building relationships and connection and keeping it a consistent priority, blah, 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 blah. Anybody could say this. It felt much more like Michelle was in the commodity cage, trapped there, not seeing the results that she wanted. And when we want more results, we all tend to have the same reaction. We got to reach more people. Content's not getting us the results. We got to reach more. And this never made sense to me, because we can all reach some people now. 5,000 people or 5. And these people know, like, and trust you already. And the people who know, like, and trust you are signaling to you that your work isn't working. So why do we think, I better put it in front of way more people? That makes no sense. When we want more results, we think we have a reach problem, but typically we have a resonance problem. Reach is how many see it, but resonance is how much they care. And no amount of reach will guarantee they care. And when they care, they might act. If they don't care, they don't act. If they don't act, we don't see results. So from resonance comes results. That's the business we're in. So the next time you think, we want more results, don't think we got to reach more. Think we got to resonate deeper. And there are 3 things to remember to ensure that we do. The first comes from Michelle. When our work matters more, we can hustle for attention less. We're not on the hamster wheel. More of our work works. Michelle matters to her audience in a big way, but it's not through content like this. Here's something that represents a change in her writing. This is something she emailed to her newsletter about a month ago. Let me read it to you. It's not this generic opening, it's this. Pop quiz, what's the first thing you should do when you're sitting on your couch late on a Saturday night and out of nowhere a bat flies overhead? I don't know. I'd like to know. Answer, not what I did. What did you do? What did I do? I Googled, obviously. And she talks about how all the advice was mixed. Sound familiar? She eventually went to a friend's and slept there, and the bat exited through an open door. But in the morning, she says, the next morning, when I could think more clearly, I realized I'd fallen into my own trap, the trap she helps her clients avoid. She was thinking about strategy first, immediate results first, instead of the order in which to do things. What do we do instead of when do we do them? And she says that's always a mistake. Don't think strategy, think sequence. Sequence first, always. From sequence comes the strategy. I love that. It's so insightful. It's also very personal. And I asked her, how did this perform like for your business? Without hesitating, she goes, my best performing email in months. And the best part is she had the same constraints as if she created commodity content. She didn't add time or budget to this. She didn't have to overhaul her whole strategy or focus, just like when she was creating in the commodity cage. 500-word post. Practical, prescriptive, teaching the audience how to do what she knows. And then I want to connect with prospects was the goal. What she knows stayed the same, but what she said was different, and that's why she had a greater impact. 600% more replies than her average email, 150% more qualified leads, and they were passionate outpourings of support of her ideas. This woman in the front says thank you 5 times in 6 sentences. She even uses the word resonate to describe Michelle. What if we had that response too? So how do we get it? What do we do to tell small stories with big meaning? Michelle used a very simple but powerful story structure. There are 3 parts to the structure that we can remember. First, this happened. It's a personal memory or a moment. Then, which made me realize, it's an idea sparked by what happened. And here's the pivot point between talking about anything that we care about at all and what they deeply care about and want to know from us. It's a phrase that sounds like this. That's the thing about the topic we teach, the insight you need. Let me give you a really simple example. We'll put this up again and again if you're taking photos. We'll come back to it too. Simple example. Let's say I wanted to convince you, I see you doing all your research, I see you looking for simple solutions, following all the influencers, you're agonizing over starting. I could be like the Nike slogan, just say, just do it. Because science shows we're not really afraid of the thing, the task, we're afraid of the unknown. Just do it. That's a commodified way of saying that. Anybody could say it. And it's not very empowering to do that. But what if I said it like this? So for years, I was afraid to make espresso. This is true, and this is embarrassing. I'm Italian. Can you not tell by the everything of me? Like hands, gel, all of it. It's true. And I was afraid to make espresso. Identity crisis, thy name is coffee, okay? I was trying to get my wife to do it. Babe, are you making one for you? Can you make one for me, please? It was embarrassing. Years of that. Today, though, I make it every day. What changed? I tried it once. This happened. And then I realized, oh wow, I wasted a lot of time asking her to make me coffee, a lot of time agonizing, a lot of time following all the espresso influencers on Instagram. What was I doing? Because it turns out I wasn't afraid of the thing itself, I was just afraid of trying something new. Well, that's the thing about trying new things. If what we're really afraid of isn't the task, it's the unknown, then we ought to move quicker to make the unknown known. Try it once. And even if you mess up, now your research is much more focused and not so wasteful. That, I hope you can agree, is a higher impact way of saying the same thing. It's not commodified. It's insightful, yes, but it could only come from me. So how did Michelle do that? Let's overlay that template onto her piece. This happened. A bat flew overhead. All the research, conflicted, all the stress, you're relating to it. I'm going to go sleep at my friend's, which made me realize she uses the word realized. I'd fallen victim to the trap I help my clients avoid. Here is that trap. And then she arrives at, in her case, an implied moment of basically saying, that's the thing about searching for solutions for your business. Think sequence over strategy, not strategy over sequence. Sequence first, always. A small story containing big meaning. Look, this job is not about creating content, and I love doing that. It's actually about creating connection. And that is the dividing line between the folks who are happy on the hamster wheel looking for tools to be mediocre at scale and the folks who create things that actually matter to their businesses and their audience. Do you think it's content or do you think it's connection? Which business are you in? Using that's the thing about forces us to bridge the gap between whatever we're trying to say because we want to say it, it's about espresso, and the thing the audience actually needs to hear from you. That's the thing about. Because when our work matters more, we need to hustle for attention less. Ensure your stories matter more using those that's the thing about moments. Thing number 2. I want to tell you about Amy Carrero, or not really Amy, a character that Amy voices as an actress, Elena of Avalor. It's a Disney Plus show. I see a couple parents going, that damn theme song. Sorry, that's my fault. That's in your head now. I'd never heard about this princess before. I didn't grow up with her. So my 4-year-old daughter loves Elena. So I went to the Disney site, and I was like, who is this character? And the first header on the article describing her, Elena's story is universal. Great. My daughter has a role model in this character, and my daughter can relate to this person. So what makes her story universal? Elena is a young princess, fine, who was trapped for 41 years by an evil sorceress inside a magical amulet while her grandparents and her sister were protected within a magical painting. You know, family stuff. Now that she's free, Elena must learn to rule as crown princess. That's universal? That's relatable? This is her house. This is her pets. I mean, I think my dog's pretty cool, but how is she universal? Well, people in the arts, people in entertainment media, people in journalism, they all seem to understand what people in marketing try so hard to forget, which is it's not the topics or the action of the story that makes it universal and relatable. It's the underlying meaning. It's the lesson. And that's what they say on the site. The lesson Elena is learning is universal, says the creator of the show. How do you learn to be a good leader while learning how to be a good sister and a good granddaughter and a good friend? I want to be a good leader in my work. I also want to be a good father and husband and friend. Move over, sweetie. I got to watch Elena of Avalor with you. Because that's where people connect. A story is relatable because of its emotional stakes, not its topics or its action. All this emphasis, like I teach marketers. I can only talk about marketers. I teach healthcare. I can only talk about healthcare. The world's most powerful and influential storytellers don't have that limiting belief. They can talk about anything and connect. I don't know about you. I loved Ted Lasso, but I don't really care about soccer or football. Sorry. But I do care about the evolution of a person and how you stay true to your values and remain kind, because that's what was relatable. I don't read him, but he has passionate fans, Stephen King. Carrie isn't really about Carrie. It's about the feeling of isolation that we can all relate to from time to time. And Spider-Man, can you thwip through New York City with your spider powers? No. Where do we connect with a character like that, so epic, so influential? With great power comes great responsibility. That's where a story connects. These are not literal or illustrative stories. These are allegories. And we're surrounded by them. Lord of the Flies, the allegory of the cave from Plato, the modern twist on that, the Matrix, even Dr. Seuss. And in marketing, Michelle's Bat Story. And when you're a kid, Elena of Avalor. Allegory comes from the Latin allegoria, meaning implying something else. Wait a minute, that's the thing about. Think about the Matrix. What's it really about? It's a commentary on society. So what are they saying? What is the thing they're talking about? Well, in that film, the thing about society is not robots will literally imprison us all and use us as batteries. No, that's not what they're saying. That's the thing about society. What we think is reality is a collection of systems created by others to keep us compliant so they can gain power. It's an allegory. All of these stories and all of your stories are not literal illustrations. You're not the motivational speaker. I did it, and you can too. Kudos if you have some stories like that, but we're going to run out fast. Allegories are everywhere, and they're what makes an insight stick. And once they understand you, sure, give them an illustrative story to bring it to life. Your stories aren't about you. They're about the meaning that connects you and the audience. Tell more allegorical stories, more metaphorical stories. Thing number 3. I need to move now from talking about Elena of Avalor to another crown prince, Brian of Rochester. This is Brian Piper, and that is Brian Piper. Hey, Brian, thanks for being here. Brian is the director of content at the University of Rochester and wrote an incredible book. Everybody should pick it up. I adore this book. It changed me. It is Epic Content Marketing with Joe Pulizzi. Everybody get that? And thank Brian after as you leave. Brian loves skydiving. If you don't know, it's kind of like water diving, but instead of going splash, you go splat. You wouldn't, not for me, but look how happy he is. He loves it. He loves skydiving. He also loves teaching marketers about UX and data. When he does so, it feels a lot like I understand his LinkedIn bio. For many years, Brian was talking about case studies. They did it this way, I do it this way, and you can too. But the whole time he's up there on stage or writing his blog posts, you know what he's thinking about? He's thinking about skydiving. And that was not evident at all. But I wonder, what if the case study is actually less powerful than the allegory? So how do we find and unlock allegories in our world? Well, consider this question. What do you understand or feel that you want them to understand or feel? What was your personal journey to some universal insight? And then if you're Brian and you like to skydive, you might think, well, I'm teaching marketers how to take risks today. I remember the first time I went skydiving, I was so nervous, I white-knuckled my way up. And I was thinking, if I just get over the leap, it's about making the leap. That's what'll make it fine. Once I get out of the plane, it'll be great. But it turns out, no. When you tandem dive for the first time, your instructor taps you on the back, and that's your cue to open up your arms and legs. And that's the moment where it stops feeling like you're falling and you're stressed, and it starts feeling like you're flying. Well, that's the thing about taking risks. It's not enough to take the leap. You have to be open to what happens once you do. Otherwise, you're closed off to new possibilities. It feels stressful to do the new thing. But you have to be open to what comes. That's where you stop feeling like you're falling and start feeling like you're flying. And I'm proud to report that today, Brian freely incorporates skydiving into his work, and look how happy it makes him. I think he wrote it on that dive. So to find worthy stories to tell, don't think about newsworthy. I'm sorry, Brian, no one's writing about your skydiving at CNN. I'm sorry. But think about noteworthy, not newsworthy. I don't have any stories to tell. It's not big enough. It's not innovative enough. The media's not covering it. So what? What did you note? A little moment, an observed tree on your wall. I don't know how you live your life. Whatever you're doing, something is of note. And you go, that kind of makes me think about the work that I do. That's noteworthy. Save it. Pull that story thread. Develop it into a powerful allegorical tale containing an insight that they need to hear. Noteworthy, not newsworthy. Because while case studies illustrate, allegories illuminate. I know, I'm proud of me for that one too. This is like 2 weeks ago, after my daughter was done watching Elena of Avalor, we went downtown in Boston to the New England Aquarium. And at the top of the tank, you have this guy who stands here every day on this platform with a microphone, and he answers questions about what's in the tank. Oh, what kind of turtle? It's a green turtle. How old? 70. And in general, they can live up to 90 years old. What's that diver doing? This, that, or the other thing. Q&A, Q&A, Q&A. Not unlike something else I know in our lives. And I kept thinking, who is this guy? Like, literally, who is he? I don't know him. And there's nothing about him that requires him to be there, because he's basically just acting like a kiosk. And I live in Boston, so I've been to this aquarium a dozen times. You know what's different between 7 years ago and today? Now they have little iPads all around the tank where you can get your questions answered if he's preoccupied. Because he's not doing anything that uniquely requires him. And if we don't do things that uniquely require us, sooner or later, we might not be required. That's the problem we face. I didn't want him to act like a kiosk. I wanted that gentleman to act much more like Taylor Blake of Knuckle Bump Farms. For a brief moment in the sun, Taylor took the world by storm by bringing to life all these animals, which she really made into characters at her farm to teach us, yes, facts about those animals in a way the guy at the aquarium was failing to do. And the biggest of the characters was Emmanuel the emu. And it all started with a video like this.
This is Emmanuel, do not do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. I'm trying to educate people right now, okay? Can you just stop?
Look at the personality of that emu. It's insane. Are you kidding me? And it didn't stop there. It wasn't a one-off viral hit. She's like, maybe this is a thing. And it became a thing.
3 inches tall. Emmanuel, every time. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't choose violence today. Please, every day we go through this.
Don't choose violence.
It's never ending.
Every time. She found a way to make us care about the underlying commodity content, the facts about the emu, the horse, the deer on her farm. In resonating deeply, she made the reach part of her job much easier. Reach, by the way, that took her all the way to places like this.
Emmanuel, no. Emmanuel, no. No. You're being a menace. Emmanuel, don't do it. Emmanuel, don't do it. She's not listening. Can I get someone here to help me? Oh my God, Taylor, Blake. It's Taylor. Taylor, Blake. So nice to see you, thank you.
We all face a similar choice. The adult male emu can run at speeds of this. Here's how to do your work in a blog post I am giving you today. Or I can bring that emu to life.
Good night, look at this dude. Let's go, Emmanuel. Emmanuel Todd Lopez, yes!
Emmanuel Todd Lopez. The oldest turtle at the New England Aquarium is named Myrtle. Myrtle the turtle. She's 70 years old. She's pale white. She hates other fish. Why can't this gentleman give you the fact about her after he goes, oh, that's Myrtle. Yeah, here's the thing to know about Myrtle. Every time a young new fish is added to the tank, they make the mistake of crawling on to Myrtle's lawn, and whack, she doesn't have a purse, but she might as well. Why can't that guy help me picture Myrtle like this? That would bring the facts, the commodity information to life and make it stick, make it memorable, make it more personal, more insightful, higher impact content. More original just means more you. It's not about the output of the work, it's about the origin of your ideas. Could it come from anybody, or could it only come from you? More original means more you. The problem isn't that bots will replace humans. The problem is that too many humans are acting like bots. If you're not doing things that uniquely require you, sooner or later, you might not be required. Just ask that guy at the aquarium. So we face a choice right now. We can stay on that checklist, we can stay on that process, we can stay on that hamster wheel and keep checking boxes and feed that into a tool, and now we're not needed anymore, or we can look to our posture instead of our process. Your posture is how you see yourself and the world. No one is going to ask you to pull from your daily moments or lived experiences. We just have to decide to do it. We have to see it, and we have to do it. I will never interview you on my podcast and say, hey, Brian, how should marketers think about data today? But before you respond, can you just lead with a story in your answer, please? Ideally about skydiving. No one is going to say that. You have to step out over the wire and decide to do it yourself. It's about your posture, not your process. So to create commodity content, trust your checklist. Go ahead. But to create something original, trust yourself. I have one more short story for you today, but before I go, I want to say thank you for your participation, for your Disney suggestions, albeit incorrect, except for my homies over here. And I want to invite you to hang out with me in a free roundtable discussion next month to talk about your work and get more personalized feedback. I also put some free goodies, ungated, you don't need to sign up, to help you do more original work, and I also dropped Powerline's best music video. So you can go to jacunzo.com/goofy for that. So, we are going to tell small stories with big meaning. Why? Well, we want to spark action. And to spark action, we have to learn to resonate deeper, not reach more. This happened, which made me realize, and that's the thing about the topic I teach, the insight I'm here to gift you today. Number 2, to matter more to people, tell stories that matter to you. Stories connect on emotional stakes, not the topic or the action. It's a paradox. If you want to connect deeper externally, you have to go deeper internally. Otherwise, you don't arrive at the emotional stakes and get stuck on the action of your story, an action that they might not care about, but they certainly relate to the emotional stakes. So to connect deeper externally, go deeper internally. To find stories worth telling, think noteworthy, not newsworthy. You should tell a story about anything because everything is inspiration in the hands of an effective storyteller. But to do any of this is to fundamentally trust yourself. And I know you want to. I know we want to. We want our work to matter because we want to matter. And if you're sitting there going, hell yeah, then boy do I have good news for you. And it starts in the place that I think all good news comes from, a pizza place. Again, Italian, the stereotypes are true. It's most notably in this pizza place, Sally's Abits in New Haven, Connecticut. Sally's is this little hole-in-the-wall joint on Worcester Street. 2 blocks down the street is its biggest competitor, Pepe's. Now both Sally's and Pepe's have amazing pizza. Both cater to like famous clients. You can see them on the walls with their signatures. Both are nationally ranked. It's amazing that these 2 places exist in such close proximity. But my family's a Sally's family. And every time we went growing up, we got this guy, Lorenzo, as our waiter. Big burly guy, wore shorts in the dead of winter, and he'd saunter around the restaurant, giving a hard time to his regulars. So being a snarky little 12-year-old boy, I gave it back to him one day. And I said, hey, Lorenzo, some of my friends like Pepe's better. You both serve pizza. How are you any different, really? And he could have crushed me. But he said, well, we both have access to the same commodities, cheese, tomatoes, mushrooms. But the secret, he said, is our starter. Now the starter, I didn't know it at the time, is a simple mixture of flour and water, and it forms the basis for making great dough. There are 2 ways to affect your starter, exposure and time. You can expose it to different levels of light, heat, containers, put a little grape juice in it, delicious. And then it takes a while to ferment. Some people have built their starter for literal decades because they take their doughs seriously. Sally's has had theirs since 1938. Obviously, the molecules are different, but it's the same source material over and over and over. Some people value their starter so much they give it a name. It's like a pet that lives with them. Now, I don't have a starter in my home, but when I get one, I already picked out my name. And as a result of all the things the starter's been exposed to and all the time it takes to ferment, no 2 starters can make the same dough. And that's how Sally's, with access to the same commodity ingredients as its competitors, 2 blocks down the street, can make something different and I think much more delicious. And that's the thing about doing creative work. You're spending so much time looking for solutions and answers from other people that we're failing to see now that the biggest advantage we have, it's you. Because of all the things you've been exposed to and all the time it's taken you to become who you are, as a result, you are the starter. So way more important to your work than you have a message is that you know how to bring that message to life. And way more valuable than you know the facts and can communicate them over and over again, Q&A with my audience over and over again, is that you know how to make them memorable. And way more transformative than just giving case studies is knowing how to pull from your personal life and passions in allegorical, metaphorical ways. And way, way more valuable and insightful, more original and powerful to your work than yet more hamster wheel content is knowing how to step off of that and run free in the field of favorites. Everybody you're competing with has access to the same commodity ingredients, but no one has access to you. You are the starter. Who you are makes you different, makes you insightful, makes you original. And we're not using that enough. But you are the starter, and no 2 starters can make the same dough. Choose today to get off the hamster wheel and run free in the field of favorites. Don't add resources, don't change your strategy, don't do anything radical. Simply start telling small stories with big meanings pulled from your little life moments. Don't market more, matter more. Don't be the best, be their favorite. Thank you for being my favorite audience. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.